I'd like to welcome everybody. As you're aware, we started implementing MI back in 2008, and as you can see, we've come a long ways. So without further ado, we'll begin this training. I'd like to bring up Kelly. So she'll start off the day's session. And thank you for coming.
Well, this is a real treat. I've been asked to introduce Casey, but before I do that, he asked me to kind of talk about MI and DVR in the state of Washington. And I don't know if everybody knows this, but we've just celebrated our 4th year in doing MI as an organization. And we have an internal MI integration team. And it was during one of those integration team meetings that someone said, what should we do for celebration for the 4th year of DVR integrating MI into the organization? And I think it was Peg Evans-Brown and probably a little Casey saying, well, let's bring Teresa Moyers to town. And I remember a lot of us were like, really? But you know, that's nothing surprising with Casey. He has us elevate our dreams and the things that we want as an organization frequently. So here she is, and it's quite amazing. You know, I know we have a mixed group of external partners and internal partners here today. So I just wanted to take a couple of minutes to talk about what we've done at Washington DVR. But I think some of the best ways to think about this is to publicly announce, as the Chief of Field Services, my name is Kelly Franklin, I forgot that part, is that we took on MI to provide customer service. We knew 4 years ago that we wanted to get better at that. And we wanted to take a model that was person-centered, a model that really improved the way that we provided information to the customers that we served in providing choice, because that's part of Voc Rehab is informed choice. And as I think about these last 4 years, you know, it started with the customers, and now it's really about our whole system. We have created a system that has not only changed the quality of customer service for those that we serve, but for many of you that I talk with throughout the day, it's actually changed how you do your business and how you view counseling and front office delivery, and for even someone like me who's an administrator providing leadership. So really, I just was thinking about the 4 years journey has been really about huge change. And so I wanted to publicly thank the DVR folks here today that in the last 4 years, we've seen huge tumultuous change in our state, in our nation, and at a time in which we have been experiencing a lot of challenges, you rose to the occasion to not only do business as we've always done it, but we have changed how we do it and the very processes that we do it and how we have managed it. And what an amazing accomplishment during a time where most people shut the hatches and barred the doors to weigh out the storm. You all took up the challenge to not only say it's not good enough, but how do we move forward into a future being more efficient and more effective? And with that, from a simple place of using MI, not that MI is simple, but it's not complex either, is that we're coming from a place of value and respect. And when I break down MI, I think of it as a way of being with customers, a way of being with you as staff, a way of being with our community partners, and our employers. And what a gift to be able to come from a model of compliance, an authoritarian model, to a place of thinking about asking people what they care about, what's important to them, What is it that will assist them in creating change in their lives? And so one of the things that a year into the model, I was having a conversation with one of the counselors, and we were at a public forum. And this story kind of tells you the economic challenges and the desperation that a lot of our customers are facing. I was at a public forum in SeaTac, and I would say that it was one of the most lively public forums I have been. But it really wasn't about people dissing on DVR. It was more about people being at a frantic level about saying, I'm losing my home. I have no food to eat. I don't know how to take care of my kids. And they were there in this public forum because they wanted government to know how bad it was. And after the forum, I was feeling kind of wobbly. You know, you hear that level of desperation, you see the pain. And I remember going up to one of the counselors from the CTAC office, and I said to her, how you doing? Because you know that when you work so hard and then you continue to hear that it's not good enough. I asked her how she was doing. And she said, you know, Cal, this is tough. It's really painful to hear all of this. But what I know is that I have MI, and what MI has brought back to me, no matter how hard it gets, is that I have the passion back in me. I am engaged, and I haven't been this happy doing what I do in the last 10 years. So that was my tipping point. That was my moment as an administrator thinking, okay, we've made the right investment. This is what it's about. So I started asking people, how's MI working for you? And I know a lot of you in the room, I've had these conversations, is that MI has brought back the passion in what you do. And part of that is that it's given you the hope and the skill to know that you can make a difference. And it's about creating positive change. And so at the field level, and statewide, we don't have the specific number, but we're between 80 and 90% of DVR staff have been exposed to MI training. And for many in the room, you know that we have advanced to skill building, where we do coding, and are advancing our levels to competency, and hopefully one day proficiency. All of the things that have led to those things is dedication and commitment by a large group of folks called the MI integration team. That's 30+ folks who have put a lot of time and effort into making sure that MI wasn't a Kool-Aid of the month or a flavor of the month. So I want to congratulate those who have been so committed, who've dedicated hard work beyond your traditional case work and activities, for knowing that we had to come together to create the structure so that we had long-term sustainability. You know, we can often offer skills training and one-day trainings. We often know that once we walk out of that room, we walk away with a little bit, but we don't then apply it. This MI integration team has allowed us to create a system at many levels of our organization. So not only do we have internal DVR trainers, but we have our own internal coders, and we have folks who are looking at our customer surveys, folks looking at our forms we're using, folks training on how we do our intakes and orientations, our everyday processes. And that's taken a team effort, and it's been tremendous. So that kind of leads me towards the end, is that I just want to say that not only do we have field staff and non-direct customer staff involved with MI, but it's really required a systems change. It's required us to look at not only how we deliver a specific communication skill, but it's really about looking at how we've had to change the ship in which we exist in, and turning that around. Some people say, well, is this as far as you've gotten in 4 years? Guys, I got to tell you, the ship is going the other direction, and it is impressive. And we have changed so many internal processes to allow us to continue to model MI not only in what we say, but all the ways in which we provide the services. Our next challenge at DVR is to continue to look at ways to model and to encourage those who do non-direct services. We're still looking at MI as only a clinical skill when really it can be seen as just a way of being an effective communication skill. In looking at how we move forward as a management, on our management level and our field services. So in recognizing that we're at all different levels of change, how's that, Casey, in my language? How do we bring the rest of everybody along? How do we do that? So that's what I'm going to leave you with today is, what would be most helpful for us at DVR and for the other partners in the room to think about? What do we need to take the next steps? What are our next 2 steps that we take to become the organization that we want to become? And for the community partners in the room today, where are you at with MI and embedding and changing the very system in which you operate? And what would be the next 2 steps to move you into the future in creating change for those we serve? So with that, I want to introduce Casey Jackson. When I first met him about MI, this guy's story has not changed at all. When I ask him why, he says, Kelly, I am the man who gets the opportunity to change lives. And so really that's never changed for Casey. His mission in this world is to have a positive impact on others. And he is the director of training for the Washington Institute of Mental Health and Research and Training, WYMR, as many of us know. And it's an honor to have worked with him in the last 4 years. He's been more than generous with DVR to make sure that our ship got turned around. And I would say it's an honor to call him a friend. Casey Jackson.
So there's a couple of things, and for people that are on an integration team meeting, you hear me kind of beat the drum a lot about how far this has moved as a system from when I first started, starting with this 4 years ago. And I'm in a really unique position where I do get to travel around a little bit and to see what the intention was of DVR, where they were kind of in a shaky place in lots of different areas compared to people in the nation 4 years ago, and to see what's kind of changed since then. And I think because it's its own microcosm, you know, I always feel like the need when I go to integration team meeting to let people know where do you fit in the world. And the reality to have an organization make the changes that you guys have had is absolutely unbelievable. I had a great conversation actually with Stephen Rolnick, who tried doing some system-wide integration in Switzerland, and or in Sweden, and it did not go well. And so he and I had a long conversation about what were the good things and not so good things about that process. And so it's one thing to kind of have a clinical skill and develop a skill set or a method of being with people, but it's a whole different ballgame to talk about seeing an organization, even an agency, make a significant change. You're talking about a government organization that's made such a significant change in the way that it does business and the way that it kind of approaches customers and customer service, and its own staff, which I think is amazing. So again, I just echo what Kelly says in terms of how impressive it is. What Washington State has done in Voc Rehab has spread now to where I've had the chance to go up to Alaska and Idaho and Oregon, Michigan, Missouri, Nebraska last week, all in VR, who looks at Washington State as a leader in Voc Rehab in integration and motivational interviewing for customer service. So you guys are leading the way in that, which is, I just think is so commendable for where everybody's put their energy and time. So Kelly's right, this whole thing, Peg Evans-Brown was the one who called and said, God, wouldn't it be fun if we had Terry Moyer show up for our kind of celebration of being together for 3 years going on 4 years. And she was kind of tongue-in-cheek saying it, and I said, well, I'll email her. And Terry said, well, I can't do it in January because I think I emailed her 2 weeks before the celebration. And I didn't know she had that busy of a schedule. So So we kind of talked about it. We figured out kind of the way to do that, and it's been an interesting. Some people know the jokes about my relationship with Terry in terms of restraining orders, and so I wanted to clear part of that up. She didn't know about this story, so I figured I better come clean before she actually comes up here and people ask her, "Is that true?" When I started training on MI and really didn't know as much as I thought I did, which is pretty normal for even learning it for myself. I kind of plug in the tapes and have people watch the tapes and not really debrief them. And now some people know I'm obsessed with stopping and over dissecting the tapes now. And it was about after a year of showing the tapes that all of a sudden I started watching Terry Moyers when she was interviewing the rounder. I was like, oh my God, she's pretty good at this. And then all of a sudden I realized really the level of skill set that was involved in motivational interviewing. And that was kind of the start of it for me as far as my own investment in going, you know what, I want to take this to a completely different level for myself. On a clinical level, and then for people that were interested in learning it. So that really was the thing that inspired me to kind of really get invested the way that I did, and so it's just really amazing for me to be able to have Terry Moyers come here. Dr. Moyers is she's a professor at the University of New Mexico and has worked with, been one of the primary pioneers in motivational interviewing with William Miller and Stephen Rolnick. And so it's really been amazing that we're able to have her come up to Everett, Washington and join us today. So Terry, get started.
What a pleasure to be here. What an absolute pleasure. I thank you so much for hosting me here, welcoming me. And for me, it's a special privilege to be in a place where people are systemically introducing and using motivational interviewing and doing it successfully. Let me just echo what both Kelly and Casey have said to you, which is that your system is something really special. To be able to successfully implement this and to have coders of your own and to have coaches of your own is something really special. And the level of training that you're doing, the level of practice that you're implementing is remarkable. So I congratulate you all for doing such a good job in the way that you're approaching this task.